What's going on, bottom line viewers? It's Mitch here, back with another NFL record prediction video. In this video, I'm going to give you my record prediction for the Atlanta Falcons for the 2021 NFL season, breaking down every matchup, every game, giving you every pick for the 2021 NFL season. Atlanta, it's time. Before I give you my record prediction, make sure that you do spike that like button. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more bottom line view record predictions just like this. Let me know how you think the Atlanta Falcons will do in 2021. The Atlanta Falcons kick off the 2021 NFL season versus the Philadelphia Eagles. I believe they'll win this game in a high-scoring back-and-forth football game. Should be pretty exciting. And I'm looking forward to seeing what these two coordinators bring to the table. And that's what I'm going to call them. Coordinators. Arthur Smith as the head coach, who's an offensive mind and offensive play caller. And Dean Pease as the defensive coordinator, defensive mind, and defensive play caller. What do they bring to the table that separates them from the past regime? That separates them from Dan Quinn, right? Is it that much better? Because that will ultimately, I think, determine their first year success, is how great that difference is. Because I could see it being a massive difference, but their offense was already good last year. Like, that's the thing that I struggle with. I think a lot of it has to come from the defensive end if they're truly going to take that step forward, because they were already a good offense, especially with Julio leaving. I understand you brought Pitts in, but Julio's leaving, so that's going to take an electricity outside and out of that offense. So it's a balance here. I think they could be better this year without it necessarily reflecting in the record. But then when you look at the division, like, they could be the second best team in this division. They have the second best quarterback. You could argue they have the second best offense. You could certainly argue that, but they definitely have the worst defense, right? They have a lot of wild card elements. And this whole division has had turnover, which is where I want to go next, because in week 2 they play the Bucs, which is a divisional opponent. So let's go through those divisional matchups. So I have them splitting with the Panthers and the Saints. All right, splitting with the Panthers and the Saints. Divisional games, I think they're all going to be close. And like I said, I could see any of the Saints, Panthers, or Atlanta Falcons making the playoffs as like a 6 or 7 seed. I could see them all finishing second. I could see them all finishing third or fourth. That's how close they are in terms of talent. I think in terms of just overall roster, coaching, every element, I think adds up to being a pretty even division from number 2 to number 4. Okay? So I have them splitting with both teams. And whatever way you want to slice it. If you want to say Atlanta wins at home and they lose on the road, whatever. I don't care. When it comes to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they play them in week 2 and week 13. I contemplated Atlanta beating the Bucs at least once because they moved the football very effectively on Tampa last year, and I was impressed by that. I was impressed how they kept themselves in the game because of their offense. And I think Arthur Smith could bring a lot of the same elements, if not better. I don't believe Julio played in either game, and they should have won one of the games, right? That was the game where Tampa noted that they kind of figured it out, to be honest. That first game, that comeback in epic Brady fashion, right? And classic Atlanta fashion. This year, I think they're going to drop both games just like last year, and I think it will be fairly similar. I think they're going to lose one game that's kind of a blowout, and I'm going to say that's week 2. And then in week 13, I think they're going to almost win. It's going to look like maybe they're going to win and maybe like there's a game-winning drive by the Bucs or something. But I don't think it will be like a 20-point comeback or anything of that nature. But I do think it will be a close game the second time. All right? So Atlanta will keep things competitive and interesting versus Tampa. I just think the matchup, I'm not sold that they can stop or slow them down at all. And I'm not sold that the Bucs won't get immense pressure versus this offensive line. So one or either of those things are going to cause the Bucs to win both games. Week 3, they play the Giants. Now, I'm going to include 3 teams together here. the Giants, the Dolphins, and the Patriots. And why I include those 3 teams, they're all East teams. But I look at them all as Belichick tree defenses, right? And these are secondary first, back end first, pass coverage first teams. And those teams, those defenses in particular, are difficult matchups to me for Atlanta because they have the corners to cover Atlanta. And I think they have the schemes to cover Atlanta. And I think that, yes, okay, the Patriots are the best of that group, in my opinion. I think the Giants and Dolphins are in the hunt type teams, which I think Atlanta could also be in that mix. And if they could win one of these 3 games, I think you would be happy because I don't think they're excellent matchups. I think they're most likely to lose to the Patriots. So I'm going to give them a loss in week 11 on Thursday night. I want to say that's probably the most likely, but then again, like, they could also maybe beat the Giants, right? So I'm going to say, I believe I gave the Dolphins and the Giants the win in both of their record prediction videos, but I feel like it would almost be unfair to Atlanta, now that I think about it and sit here, to say that they'd lose to all 3 teams. So I almost feel like they're going to beat one of these 3 teams. I'm going to say they lose to the Dolphins, and I'm going to say they beat the Giants, but, like, I don't know. I could go either way with that, and I'm adding a win to Atlanta here because I do have that confidence in Arthur Smith and this coaching staff where I do think it's going to be an improvement from last year. Now, week 4, they play the Washington football team. I have Washington winning that game. I think the overall presence of their D-line and their O-line is going to be overwhelming for Atlanta, and that's going to be tough. I think they'll beat the Jets, so they'll be 3-2 going into the bye week. They'll drop a game to Miami. Then they'll be about 500 for basically the rest of the way, right? So they play the Cowboys in week 10, which I think they'll lose to the Cowboys in a shootout type game, a lot like last year, maybe not with the fluke included, but a Dan Quinn revenge game. Week 12, they play Jacksonville. I had Jacksonville beating them in that game. I think by this point, Trevor Lawrence will get it rolling. I think that offense might get it rolling. Obviously, Atlanta could win this game. It kind of depends on, I think, how Atlanta's defense is playing at this point. And that's obviously a road game there. So then they play the 49ers, the Lions, and the Bills. I have them beating the Lions for obvious reasons. I have them losing to the Bills because I don't think the Atlanta secondary could slow down Josh Allen at all. And then week 15, they could pull off the upset here versus the 49ers, just like they did a couple seasons ago. And I wouldn't be that surprised. I honestly think, a precision passer like Matt Ryan, that is why they can win this game. Because the 49ers are not good versus these type of quarterbacks. Like, I don't think they are, because their scheme, it's very basic, and when you play a veteran quarterback like Ryan who can put the ball in places where you can't defend it, it makes life difficult, right? You guys understand the Seattle scheme because you guys have run it for a long time. So I actually think Atlanta could pull off the upset here as long as they don't get run over by the 49ers, which very well could happen, but they did it a couple years ago, and I'm going to say they do it again. I don't know, maybe it's Kyle Shanahan's curse or something, but I have Atlanta going 7-10 this year. I could see 6-11. I could see 8-9. I think just like the Saints, they're somewhere in that range of 6 wins to 8 wins. Matt Ryan provides them a nice floor because he's still about a top 12 quarterback. They still have a good offense, which I think is more important than anything else. And then the problem I really have is, I've mentioned it many times, the defense is lousy and the offensive line is not my favorite. And that's why they'll probably lose some games. But I like the coaching staff, and I think they'll be competitive this year. And when you look at the schedule, it's really not that difficult. There's a lot more difficult schedules out there, and the division is completely wide open behind Tampa. So let me know in the comment section below what you think, how you feel about Atlanta this season. Do you think they're a dark horse in the NFC? Do you think they're just an average team? Or do you think they're a bad team? Let me know in the comments. It's Mitch. Thanks for watching. Peace.